Hello and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Becca and today I'm going to be talking about a few hyped books that I just won't be reading. So I've seen a few people do this and I thought I would just add my opinion, and these are just a few books that I just don't really want to read, and there's a variety of reasons for these. Some I'm just not interested in, some I've read previous works by the author and I don't want to read anything else by them, and these are just like super hyped books that just don't really get me excited. So I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not insulting anyone's reading taste, I'm not insulting any authors, I'm not saying that they're bad books, and just based on my reading taste I don't really think that I would like them, or there's just other things I'd rather read, so I'm just not gonna. And let's just get into it. The first one is A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. I do actually own the ebook of this because I got it very, very cheap on a deal. However, from what people have been saying about it, I'm just really not interested in it. I'm not saying that this is a bad book because I'm guessing it's pretty good if everybody loves it. It's just I don't really like historical fiction, and there's just not really anything about the plot of the book that I've heard that sounds particularly interesting to me, so I'm just going to skip it. Next we have When Dimple Met Rishi, and I cannot for the life of me remember who writes this, but the reason that I'm not going to be bothering to read this one is because it is about a girl who goes to coding camp in the summer and her parents want her to have an arranged marriage and she doesn't want to. She wants to be a coder. So she goes to this camp and her parents have arranged for this boy to also go to sort of win her affections, and he's like her arranged marriage suitor. And then I've heard that essentially it just becomes a romance and she forgets all about her dreams of coding. I personally don't support the plot of this book. I don't generally agree with arranged marriages because I think that people should choose who they want to marry, and it's one thing to gain your parents' approval for the person that you want to be with, and it's another to have them choose that person for you. So I think this would have been a good book if it had proven that the coding camp was more of a focus of the book and the arranged marriage thing was maybe pushed to the side and the message was to follow your dreams and not your parents' dreams. But it seems to be my parents want me to get married, I want to do this, no, my parents were right, I should get married, that kind of message, and that's not necessarily something I support at all. The next one is Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I'm sure you've heard me talk about this many times, but I just generally don't like Holly Black's writing. I appreciate that a lot of people do like her, and I think that she is an absolutely lovely, amazing person. It's just I feel like for my personal taste she does lack a lot of world building in the fantasy worlds that she's trying to build. I do generally like the bare bones of her plot, but it's just the way that they're filled out that doesn't really get on with me. And I've never really liked one of her characters from the books that I have read. Although a lot of people are loving this, to me, Holly Black just is not an author that I want to read from, and so I won't be reading The Cruel Prince. Then we have Zenith by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummins, and the reason I'm not reading this one is because this seems to be more of like a fun sci-fi like Invictus by Ryan Groden, which I did enjoy, but the sci-fis that I'm looking into now and are wanting to read are a little bit darker, a little bit more complex, and I don't feel like that is what Zenith is. I also don't want to enter into the whole debate of either completely slating Sasha or maybe lying to say I liked it just because I like Sasha. I don't really want to enter into that like at all, and I feel like I would be overly critical reading this knowing that it is from Sasha, and those things would influence my opinion of the book, because I don't necessarily subscribe to the thought of just because you read a lot of books that makes you a good writer. Like, obviously people are good writers, and reading a lot of books does help, but I don't necessarily think that just because Sasha's a great booktuber and reads a lot of books, she will necessarily be a great writer, and I don't want to have to enter into this debate, and I'm not just going to go and buy the book because Sasha writes it when otherwise I would probably just give it a miss. So that's why I wouldn't be reading Zenith. And the last one is also two books, but they're by the same author, and that is The Martian and Artemis by Andy Weir. The Martian, I don't really know much about it apart from that it's a guy stranded on Mars and it's funny. And I've heard really great reviews, but there's just something about it that's just like not making me want to read it. I really don't know what it is, and this is one of the ones I could love if I gave it a try, but there's just something about The Martian that makes me not want to read it. And as for Artemis, I've heard that it's been told from a female perspective, but it's not very accurate and realistic of like decisions or actions that a female would make or the way that they would act, and so I don't really feel the need to read that one either. So that's everything for hyped books that I'm not going to be reading. Please let me know any hyped books that you won't be reading down below, because I think it's always great to discuss these things. Even if you want to say A Court of Thorns and Roses, like, I'm not going to be offended. Like, I would probably say read it anyway and make you love it, but if you don't want to read it, that's absolutely fine. That's your choice. So feel free to tell me you don't want to read my favourite books down below, because that's what this is all about. It's about discussion and differing opinions, because if everyone had the same opinion, then we'd just watch one person's channel, because all the others would also be the same. Please don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to. And if you head into the description box below, you can find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, and also a link to my Bookish body butter and candle website and the Instagram for that if you'd like to check anything like that out. But that's it from me today. Bye!
Thank you.